And we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Mufasa's Daily Book Reading at Noon. My name is Mpomukwana, and I am your reader today. We are still reading Stephen R. Covey's The Eighth Habit. That's the book that we're tapping into right now. Remember, if you've missed any of our readings or you would like to recap on any of our readings from any of the books that we've read 3 books, and they were all lovely. So if you want to recap on those readings as well, you can find them on our YouTube channel in playlists ready for your consumption. Yes, ready for you to get into and find all your wonderful gems. So my 10 minutes is set. And I know you've subscribed to our YouTube channel, so recap on those videos. And if you haven't subscribed to a YouTube channel, then that is okay. You have time to subscribe, like today. So I'm going to be reading chapter 7 of our book, and it's based, of course, on focus, and it is titled Modeling and Pathfinding. My 10 minutes is ready, set. Okay. Let me start reading. The Voice of Influence, B. Trim Tab. We must become the change we seek in the world. And that is a quote by Gandhi. Modeling is the spirit and the center of any leadership effort. It begins with finding your voice, developing the 4 intelligences, and expressing your voice in vision, discipline, passion, and conscience. Modeling these characteristics of personal leadership alters and changes the other 3 roles at their very core. Modeling is primarily done during the other 3 roles. It is also done before, which brings a sense of confidence and trust in the leader. But it is only when people actually experience for themselves how a conscious-driven person models pathfinding, aligning and empowering, that leadership takes place. People then come to know for themselves how respected, appreciated, and valued they are. Why? Because their opinions are sought. Their input is respected. Their unique experience is valued. They are genuinely involved in pathfinding process. They are participants. They don't just hear about the mission statement and the strategic plan. They help develop them. They own them. Or if the mission statement and the strategic plan were developed beforehand, they identify with them either because they made a conscious choice to do so before they came on board, or because of their admiration for the model leader. Sometimes mental and emotional identification is a more powerful force than involvement. You see this with the followers of a Gandhi, a Martin Luther King, or a Nelson Mandela. Perhaps you yourself have so admired someone that you buy deeply into their vision, even though you were not involved in creating that vision. This is identification. It is a very powerful psychological force, sometimes even more powerful than actually participation. This is particularly the case with vision and strategic planning, more than with values. Brilliant visionaries and strategists are often in a class by themselves, and this is often recognized by the culture itself, but only if trust and personal trustworthiness are there. Ultimately, however, identification is based on involvement of some sort, directly or indirectly. Modeling is also not the work of just an individual. It's the work of a team. When you have a team of people that build on each other's strengths and organizes to make individuals' weaknesses irrelevant, you have true power in an organization. So when you think of modeling, think of an individual and a complementary team. The spirit of a complementary team is that you are there to play a unique role that compensates for the weaknesses of others. You're not there to find and focus on their weaknesses or to badmouth them behind their backs. You're there to make up for their weaknesses as they make up for yours. Collaboration, right? No one has all strengths, and very few people can be excellent in all roles. Mutual respect becomes the moral imperative, the attitude of influence. The habit of responding to the inner desire to make a difference, to matter, to extend our influence to the people and causes we most value all begins with a mindset or attitude, a choice, the choice to use the voice of influence. When I teach the principles you find in this book, I like to open up for questions either privately or from the audience throughout the day. Inevitably, someone will raise their hand and say something like this: Dr. Kofi, these principles are great. I believe them how I want to live them. But you have no idea what it's like to work in an organization like mine. If you had a boss like my boss, you would understand that there's no way I could ever pull off what you're talking about. What do I do? You can just see their thinking. They see only two alternatives. The boss is a jerk and he's never going to change. I can either quit, which I can't afford to do, or I do the best I can and just live with it. When I teach how these principles apply to marriage and family, I have women come up to me and essentially say the same thing about their husbands, and husbands say the same thing about their wives. If you only knew what my husband is like, you'd know what I mean. There's no way this will work. Again, two alternatives: leave or just bear with it as long as I can. How easy is it for people to think and feel? I'm a victim. I've tried everything. There's nothing more I can do. I'm stuck. They're frustrated and miserable, but don't see any other option. So remember, the victim mode is energy level 2 that we read about in our first book, Energy Leadership, a book written by Bruce D. Schneider. So you can find that in our YouTube playlist as well. And yeah, it's absolutely amazing to read so that you have an in-depth understanding of what energy level 2 victim mode is. Victimism gives your future away. My response to their question usually shocks them a little. I can see by their widening eyes that some are even offended to begin with. This is what I say. Anytime you think the problem is out there, that very thought is the problem. So you're implying that this is my problem, some reply. What I'm trying to say is that anytime you wrap your emotional life around the weaknesses of another, you give away your emotional freedom to that person, and you give them permission to continue to mess up your life. Your past holds your future hostage. And we do not want that, do we? Obviously, this is a relationship problem, but until people have found their own voice, there is no way they will have the maturity, inner security, or character strength to apply the principle-centered solution with the jerk boss. Or it could be that they have the inner strength, but haven't yet developed the skills that come from patience and persistence, which is a practice. The continued interaction during teaching is usually very sobering to them, but eventually we come to the point that they realize they are not a victim, that they can choose their response to the other person's behavior. Remember at the beginning of the book, Stephen said that within a situation, when you're faced with a situation, there's always a gap in which you can choose how you're going to respond. The continued interaction during teaching is usually very sobering to them. But eventually, we come to the point that they recognize that they are not a victim. They can choose their response to the other person's behavior. Society so manufactures and reinforces the mindset of victimism and blame. But you and I have the power to use our birth gifts to become the creative force of our own lives and to choose an approach that will increase our influence in an organization. We can become the leader of our own boss. And I think I will conclude the reading for today right then and there. Remember to get access to all of our wonderful readings on our YouTube channel, and that link is in the description of today's live. Also, you will find any coaching inquiries can be sent to us via our email, which is also in our description of today's live. You will also find that in that description of today's live. It sounds like a jam-packed description if you ask me. You will find details to our mentoring program, social media intelligence mentoring program, and you can have a read about what that's all about. Currently, we're running a complimentary session. Ayanda just did a live before this, talking a little bit about the program. So definitely check that video out. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you on Friday and have an absolutely wonderful day. Goodbye.